Toxicity by System of a Down was released on September 4th, 2001. This was just 1 week before the September 11th attacks. This album is celebrating its 20th anniversary, and the September 11th attacks, I mean, I don't want to say celebrating, but it's also reaching its 20th anniversary next week. And well, this album, it was like really big. I think people forget like how like big and popular it was. I mean, it's a very heavy album. I mean, there's like heavy riffs, there's death growls. I mean, you can't really like categorize this band. They called it nu metal, but they were really like unlike any other bands that were out there at the time. This is also an album that peaked at #1 on the Billboard chart. It's not really common for an album of this type of music to hit #1. I don't know if it had to do with the fact that like September 11th attacks like happened like a week after this album was released, and the lyrical content of the album and the aggressiveness of it. It might have just like have been like, maybe it was just like what the world wanted to listen to at the time. The album speaks of many political and like non-political themes, such as the prison system, the environment, the police, and many other topics. So here's the CD. This is the one I had from like 20 years ago. I don't have the jewel case anymore. So here's the cover. It's a pretty cool CD. I'm sorry, upside down. And here's the book. It actually opens up with lyrics on the side. And on the flip side, the book just has lots of photographs and stuff of the band, and many different things like the countryside and things like that. So the album's about like 44 minutes long. There's 15 songs, so the longest song is like 4 minutes. I'm going to go through all of them briefly, but the album was produced by Rick Rubin. The songs were written by both Darren Malakian and Serge Tankian. Most of the lyrics were written by Serge, with a few exceptions, and both Serge and Darren both interchanged with the vocals on most of the songs. So the opening track is called Prison Song. About the prison system, specifically the one in the United States. The lyrics mention how the drug war is used to fill private prisons. The song begins some really heavy stop-start riffs. The vocals are by Serge and Darren. There's some spoken word vocals and some harsh metal vocals. The song has some like blast beats and down-tuned guitars. There are even like death growls on the song, and Serge also incorporates a lot of like drug war statistics into the lyrics. Next is Needles, another fast-paced song. There are heavy riffs and fast-paced drums. The lyrics are kind of like a little out there with lines like, my tapeworm tells me what to do, and I understand the song to be about drug addiction. This is another song with some like heavy riffs and some death growls. Next is Dear Dance, has an intro. It's kind of on the thrashy side. Song speaks of like the riot police and the protests and how they become overly aggressive towards young protesters. Song is fast-paced, has some pretty cool muted metal riffs. There's some nu metal and alternative metal parts as well, and some cool Middle Eastern riffs. Next is Jet Pilot, another fast-paced song. Lyrics are very strange. They repeat the line, wired were the eyes of the horse on the jet pilot, one who smiled when he flew over the bay. I guess if I read the lyrics a little more, I could interpret it, but it's a pretty cool song. Next is X, a fast-paced song with heavy down-tuned guitars, some blast beats, and the lyrics are fairly simple and repetitive. They repeat, we don't need to multiply. That's repeated often, and it's a short 2-minute song. Next is the big hit, Chop Suey, and this was all over the radio, all over MTV back in the day. Starts out with some fast acoustic strumming, some stop-start vocals. Serge and Darren both do the vocals. There's some heavy parts, some soft parts. Again, the lyrics are very strange, wake up, why don't you put on some makeup, things like that. But the overall tone of the song is talking about like death and suicide. So it's a really dark song for such a really big radio hit. And I guess very characteristic of the times. Next is Bounce, and if you have kids, you might have noticed the song in like The Secret Life of Pets, and it was when the poodle was headbanging to. Not really the type of song for a kids movie. If you read the lyrics, they're actually kind of inappropriate, but it's another quick and fast song. Next is Forrest. It's a 4-minute song, longest song in the album actually. Has some heavy riffs, and it's a little slower than most of the other songs. Some pretty cool like isolated bass parts in the song. Next is ATWA, standing for Air, Trees, Water, Animals. So this one is like an environmentally friendly song. Has a slow intro with Serge and Darian doing the vocals. Song is slow, some heavy and light parts. Song has some operatic vocals by Serge and some harsh death vocals. Next is Science. So this one has more of a nu metal sound mixed with elements of thrash. They talk about topics like science and faith, and it's a short, fast-paced song. Next is Shimmy. Another short song, has a thrashy intro. They're basically talking about the current state of the education system, and this one has lots of palm muted riffs and a thick bass sound. Next is another single, Toxicity. And this one has a really big chorus and some clean and aggressive vocals. This was also a moderate hit on MTV and also played on the radio a lot. Next is Psycho. This one has a really thick bass intro. Has some staccato riffs, and they're kind of more reminiscent of like the songs on their first album. The song is talking about groupies. It's the third longest song at 3 minutes and 48 seconds. There are a few melodic parts, some clean singing, some Middle Eastern riffs, and some heavy stop-start riffs. The last song, or actually the second last song, is Aerials. This was also a moderate hit. This was nominated for Best Hard Rock Performance in the 2003 Grammys. It was the #1 hit on alternative and the mainstream rock charts on Billboard. And I do remember the song being played on MTV often. It had the band playing like against this like white background. Pretty cool song. And there's an additional track that was like kind of like tacked on to the end of this called ARTO, and like this like instrumental like tribal music type of song. It's actually like a traditional Armenian church hymn, and that ends the album. In conclusion, this band, you know, you either love them or you hate them. There's really no in between. For me, this is a 10 out of 10 album. I've never gotten tired of it. You know, I still have my CD from 20 years ago, and you know, I like all of the albums from this band. This is one of my go-to bands throughout the early 2000s. They're really probably not that popular during these days. They released a couple singles last year, but I don't really think there are any plans of them doing a new album or anything like that. So let me know if you're a fan, and let me know if you like the album. We'll talk about it in the comments. Coming up this week, I was planning to continue my Iron Maiden series, but I'm going to push it back a little bit because there are some important albums I need to cover. So tomorrow I'm doing a contest entry, my top 5 rock drummers. And after that will be John Lennon's Imagine, celebrating his 50th anniversary. On Friday, there's a new release by Andrew WK, or I might do that Friday or Saturday morning. And Saturday is September 11th, and I do have another video planned for that. Doing a special anniversary album as well. And not an album that you're expecting, but I won't say it yet. So that's it. This is JC Rock and Metal Reviews. My name is John. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.